Hey, what's going on? I don't need to tell you that there is a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to sex in general and the sexual relationship inside of marriage. There's a lot of faulty thinking, there's a lot of erroneous ideas, there's a lot of unhealthy expectations when it comes to what healthy sexuality should look like inside of marriage. So in this video, I'm going to get a sex therapist's take on 3 statements. I say 3 dumb statements. I would just say 3 misguided statements to soften it a little bit that many people make about sex that I've heard in counseling sessions with me or in conversations with other people. So we shot this video while on location at one of our Alter Marriage experiences, which is a on-location experience, 4-day experience for couples. This one happened to be in Dominican Republic. So you might notice that the background to this video doesn't look that bad, doesn't suck too bad. Maybe you want to join us for the next one. This is a small experience for 6 to 10 couples where we get away, we have a lot of fun, we grow in our marriages. And this one was on intimacy. I brought good friend Debby Wade, sex therapist, with me. And while there, I asked her, give me your response to these 3 misguided statements that people make about sex. Here's what she said.
All right, here's what I got. I got 3 dumb statements I think people make about sex, and I want to hear what a sex therapist would say to them. So the first one is the husband saying, I don't always feel like going to work, but I just got to get up and push through it sometimes. So my wife, just because she doesn't feel like sex, she should be able to just push through it like I do. What would you say to that? Seems logical.
There's just so many things wrong.
Well, just pick a couple.
You know, one, it's comparing apples to oranges, as
right.
You've mentioned. I mean, it's just ridiculous to even compare those 2 things. But it completely just makes sex just like an activity, which sex was never set out to be an activity like going playing golf or going to work or anything like that. There's just so many other dimensions to sex. So
right.
Anyway. And then there's the fact that it would really be also ignorant statement. I mean, I don't want to call anybody dumb,
you can.
But okay.
Go ahead.
It's ignorant. It's ignorant of looking at our sexual responses, and for a woman needing a build-up and anticipation and any sort of desire or arousal of anticipating her body showing up to give of herself. You know, so I think that it would speak to his ignorance of really not having any understanding about women. And I mean, I don't want to be mean, but if he has no understanding about her, I can understand maybe why she's really not all that excited about wanting to have sex with him.
Right.
You know, there is a sex therapist that I love her statement that men ought to just sit back and kind of, look, women often say no to sex, but it's like, how great is the sex they're saying no to?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like what's being offered to them. And most of us say no to things that aren't being offered to us that are really fabulous and fun or enjoyable. And so I would want to help them as a couple to really understand and nuance a healthier view of sex, a healthier idea about sex, and maybe him work at a little bit of romancing and getting to, tend to her emotional needs a little bit better.
Yeah. Maybe his boss should do that for him too, so he feels better about going to work. All right. Here's another one.
Okay.
If my spouse is not initiating sex, they must not be attracted to me.
Yeah. That's a sad statement, I think, because it really does show what we buy into culturally by things like movies and music and the things that tell us that everybody should be initiating sex. And, with what research that's been done, we have 2 different kind of desires for sex. And you and I have talked about that in another video.
Yeah.
On receptive desire and initiative desire. And some people really emotionally and physiologically just aren't wired to initiate sex. Or there may be messages that have gotten in the way, especially if it's a woman, a husband that's waiting for a woman to initiate. Many of her messages have been, Men are supposed to lead and women aren't supposed to initiate. And so if it is the husband that's not initiating, maybe women have also listened to cultural messages that suggest that all men want sex all the time. So obviously if he's not initiating, he doesn't desire me. But really they may fall more into the category of receptive desire, and initiating doesn't come natural to them.
Yeah. That's good. All right.
You may feel like my husband sometime. He says, sometimes I'm afraid to ask you a question because I'm afraid your answer will be longer than what I want to listen to. So I'll try to shorten some of these.
I did not. Don't put me in your husband category. Don't put me in there. All right, here's another one. We shouldn't have to schedule sex or plan sex if we have a great relationship. What would you say to that?
Again, I just think we've gained just such faulty teaching from so much, of how much we buy into Hollywood. We can go to movies and see that everything in the movie is fake or, scripted or whatever, but somehow we think all the messages about sex are real,
Sure.
And so we get that idea that sex should be always initiated by both spouses. And this is crazy, but I've forgotten your question.
The
statement.
We shouldn't have to plan or schedule if we have a good relationship.
We shouldn't have to plan or schedule. You can edit all that out, right? Some of it?
We'll see.
Okay.
Pause for a second before you start again, and then I'll be able to edit.
So we get this idea from movies that sex is just going to happen spontaneously all the time. And a lot of times if couples just leave sex up to spontaneously happen, spontaneously we'll both want sex at the same time, or one will just come in and want to rip our clothes off and come at us. We can wait for that spontaneity a really, 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 really long time and nothing happens. And I think this is so interesting. Everything else in life that's important to us, we schedule it.
Sure.
I mean, if it's something for your kids, you schedule it. Things like, even for most of us women, we don't leave one hair appointment without having the next one scheduled because that's so important to us. Even if we go with faith and worship, that's kind of scheduled for us. And we know when to show up, and usually at the beginning of the week we know which service we're going to go to and when we're going to be there for that intimate encounter. And so to think that we don't need to schedule sex, again, might really just fall under the category of ignorance. Sure. And scheduling sex can actually be really helpful and beneficial. We've talked a little bit about the conflict that happens with low desire and higher desire, or initiative desire and receptive desire, all the conflicts that can come in that. But one of the main things that comes is the higher desire person starts getting anxious if they don't know when they're going to get sex again, and may get to, I don't know if I'll ever get it again,
Yeah.
And the lower desire person kind of walks around with anxiety of when are they going to ask, when are they going to ask, when are they going to ask. And so sometimes scheduling sex can help decrease that anxiety. The higher desire person has something to anticipate. The lower desire person actually can kind of have that mentally in their mindset and plan for it and anticipate it. What needs to make sure that we do happen when we have scheduled sex, that we realize it's not like set in stone. And if something comes up, the person that's really anticipated it the most and most excited about it isn't so disappointed that they get pouty and angry if it doesn't happen. Because then that certainly doesn't build desire if one party is pouty and angry.
Sure, you're going to be a little hesitant to schedule it the next time, right? If it may end like that.
Yeah. So sometimes what I tell women, if women are the ones that are the lower desire, and the scheduling sex really is important to them, but they're afraid if they put it on the calendar, then they would be punished if they change their mind. I tell many women, put that on your mental calendar. You think about it, you plan around it, you fit your schedule, you anticipate it, get your mind and your, just your mood ready for it. And that can really be helpful for us women sometimes.
Yeah.
And then you set that date in your head, whatever date it is, and then you initiate it with your husband, and then it's spontaneous to him.
Sure.
And it also helps him realize that sometime you'll surprise him. So if he's the high desire person, it helps decrease his anxiety. And then her anxiety is decreased too because she has more empower because she's done the planning.
Yeah.
Which, can I say one other thing
Yeah.
on that? I think when we women really do need to lean into that healthy power. It's a good power of our sensuality and our sexuality, and us letting our husbands know we desire them, because I truly believe that husbands so want to know their wives desire them.
Yeah.
You know, so.
That's good. Good. So, planned sex is not an indication of a bad relationship.
No.
It's actually an indication of prioritizing a relationship, and just due to schedules and busyness and differences, it's often necessary.
Yes.
Well, hopefully that was helpful to you. And if you've not already downloaded our free guide to intimacy, you'll see a link in the description area below. If you'd like to maybe join us for one of these retreats in the future, grab that free guide below, and that'll get you on our emailing list as well. We'll keep you updated. Our 2024 dates are going to be coming out soon, and where we're going to be and what we're talking about. So you may want to join us for one of those. If we can help you in any area of your relationship, we'd love to be a part of your relationship journey. If you want more videos like this one, check out this video you'll see right above here on other questions that I had with this same sex therapist. Until next time, we'll see you right back here.